As a sign of appreciation and respect, and, well, just to acknowledge that I actually still have it, I think the Samurai Mega Blade from Power Rangers Samurai, Super Samurai, belongs here. I display it along with the rest of my Shinkenger stuff, and it's the only thing from Power Rangers Samurai, Super Samurai that I've got. So, in my opinion, that belongs there. Wow. For someone who never finished watching Samurai Sentai Shinkenger, this has been quite a journey that I've gone through. I started with just the Shinken-O and the Shinken-Maru, and then I got the Tora origami because I couldn't get the Kabuto and the Kajiki. And then a couple of months after that, I got the Kabuto and the Kajiki origami. And then a couple of months after that, I got the Sakana Maru and Daigoyo. And then 2 years after the series ended, I got Daikayo and Mogyu Daio. It seemed like every 6 months over the course of a 2-year period, I was getting more of these things. Oh, and then Power Rangers Samurai came along, and that thing showed up. So, whatever. Oh, yeah, and there's also that thing, the Super Robot Chogokin Shinken-O, which I still enjoy that thing. Fragile and not something I would get on a regular basis, but the fact that it was Shinken-O was enough for me. And it has die-cast metal in it, which there is, aside from that figure, there is no die-cast metal anywhere in here. I don't know, do screws and springs count as die-cast metal? I don't think so. But in any event, yeah, that's kind of the irony of the situation, is that's the only thing in all of these toys, that's the only thing that has any die-cast metal in it. Now, there was a special edition Shinken-O, DX Shinken-O, that was released that was a slight repaint, or a paint upgrade, I suppose, and they had limited amounts of die-cast metal that were included, but instead of being the standard $75, $80, $85, whatever it is, it was like $120 or $130. So I was like, as much as I would like to have that version of the Shinken-O, and yes, absolutely, I would replace it with this one, it's a bit too expensive, especially on the aftermarket. Oh my god, it's expensive. And in fact, the only thing that I still want that I still don't have is the Rekka Daizan. But beyond that, I'm pretty much done. I've had my fill. Of course, I'm saying this 9 years after the series came out, so, you know, fair enough, whatever. But yeah, I've had pretty much my fill. It's been a pretty doggone interesting journey, I'll say that. Originally, I thought it was going to be nothing more than the DX Shinken-O and the Shinken-Maru, and that was going to be about it. Maybe the Kabuto origami if I could get my hands on it, but it was already sold out by the time I got around to it. So that was difficult to get my hands on. And I thought that's where it was going to end. Oh, Kyoryu origami was okay. Movie exclusive, eh. But I stand here looking at it on this card table here, and no big regrets at this point. Mogyu Daio, again, you don't get it just to display by itself. You get the DX Mogyu Daio so you can make that whole thing. That's the only justification for that thing to exist at all. Unfortunately, they planned it that way. So it sucks, but it's kind of a good suck, but it's not really a guilty pleasure kind of suck. You know, it's just kind of bittersweet, I'll say. And that's really the only part of this entire collection that I still, you know, I'm not 100% behind. But one last time, I only got the Mogyu Daio so I could make that thing. That's the only reason I got it. It didn't turn out. If you discard the role-play toys and Daigoyo, if you get rid of those, if you just ignore those things, the origami system, this whole thing here, did not end up where I had imagined it would in 2009. Shinken-O was a breakthrough design, and to this day, it remains one of my top favorite Super Sentai Robos ever. There's style and engineering behind it. It's just magnificent. And honestly, I hope there's a Super Sentai Artisan version that comes out someday in the future, not with die-cast metal, but that kind of tweaks the transformation, even though it wouldn't be DX compatible. It wouldn't be, because there's some engineering. I do hope that kind of like Kamen Rider does with their SIC line, They do elaborate, overly visually fantastic versions of the Kamen Riders that you don't see in the series. It's the same character, it's the same armor that you see in the show, but it's just overly stylistic and specifically aimed at collectors. I hope at some point Bandai and Plex get in their heads to do something like that, a transformable DX Shinken-O that is even more folding paper-esque in its transformation. I hope someday they do that. It's just a tragedy what happened with everything else. Now, Daikaio, I've kind of forgiven it, but the rest of them, unfortunately, this series did what many of the others have done and did before. They had a really good start, they had a really interesting transformation and all that stuff, and then it shortly thereafter, it just denigrates into a stupid gimmick. And there's no transformation involved. And even then, the gimmick gets discarded by the end of this series, however many waves it takes to get to that point. The very first wave starts out really good. The second wave, they discard the gimmick. The third and final waves just completely ignore everything that's come before. Even the Sakanamaru kind of does that. I've since removed the batteries because it's annoying. Even the Sakanamaru threw that away. Even if it didn't have a praxinoscope on it, they could still have had the disc that spins. They could have done that. Did I put this the right way? Yes. But unfortunately, they just chose not to do that. I suppose that's just because of how the Sakanamaru's originating weapon, whatever that's called, I don't remember anymore. I suppose it's because of that. It could be forgiven. But considering there's always a heat-end disc attached to it, it's disappointing that at the very least it doesn't have that spinning option on it. And even if the Shinken-O had not been as fantastic as it turned out to be in 2009 and even beyond, the fact that the heat-end discs were not utilized with the super combiners, with the Samurai Ha-O, and indeed with the Daikai Shinken-O, when you make the Ikatenku Buster, why couldn't you just plug it into this thing and have it physically attach to the Daikai Shinken-O in some fashion? And, you know, all the mechanical missed opportunities with this thing back here, especially when it becomes Samurai Ha-O. So, as impressive as this all is, and as much as I've enjoyed it or come to enjoy it, there are still things about it that I deeply regret. Mostly that it's not folding paper or folding God. It's a pun, either way. It's the Kabuto Kajuki Ika, Tora, kind of sort of the Daikaio, and very much the Mogyu Daio. None of those, is it 5? Yeah. None of those are folding paper in any way, shape, or form. They may have 1 or 2 transformation steps, but they throw all of that away. Are they origami in my eyes? No, they are not. Officially, they are origami, but in my eyes, no, they are not. This series could have turned out very differently. Would we have ended up with a massive clusterfuck like this? Ironically, this is good for a folding paper clusterfuck resort, okay? That actually works. I just don't like how it turned out. It turned out... there are a lot of missteps in there. And it just goes to show how obsessed Bandai, Plex, and Toei are with pushing some sort of series-wide gimmick on us versus having an involved transformation. That's really what it boils down to. All right. I think I'm done. And so, with a massive thanks to each and every one of you for supporting me and just not leaving me alone for the last 7 years, thank you so much for your support. Even though I've been gone for all this time, and I didn't get into detail in it here because I knew the video was going to run long, thank you so much for your support, and that really has been helpful and inspiring to me in many ways. I would not have gotten the Daikaio and the Mogyu Daio if it hadn't been for you guys not constantly leaving me alone for 2 straight years. I'll tell you that much. So it's because of you guys that I ended up with this monstrosity. So I have you to thank for all that. And I'd also like to once more thank Joshua Bernard for CollectionDX.com for helping me to acquire some of these things. Josh, Thank you so much. I couldn't have done this without your help. And so, with that, this is Ava Unit 4A for CollectionDX.com, signing off.